All right, so today we're diving into the world of investing with the one and only Dave Ramsey. We're going to be dissecting one of his YouTube videos today, specifically for those of you who are just starting out. Kind of your investing 101, Ramsey style,
It's all right.
without all the financial mumbo jumbo.
That's right. We're cutting through the noise and pulling out all that actionable advice so you can start building your wealth the Ramsey way.
And trust me, there are some real eye-openers in here. We're talking about potentially turning your average car payment into millions if you play your cards right, of course.
Before we get to the millions, Ramsey's first rule of the road is clear. Get out of debt. He's adamant that debt is a wealth killer. You know it's holding you back from reaching your full financial potential.
Yeah, I can see why he's so passionate about that. It's
Yeah.
like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. You need to start with a solid base.
Exactly. He sees debt as this massive weight dragging you down. Once you're free from that burden, you can truly start building wealth.
And I think that's one of the things that makes Ramsey so appealing to so many people. You know, he doesn't sugarcoat things. He calls it like he sees it. And that resonates with folks who are, I think, tired of the smoke and mirrors in the financial world.
Absolutely. He's all about empowering people to take control of their finances.
Yeah.
And that starts with understanding the basics.
Now, when it comes to investing, Ramsey really champions growth stock mutual funds. And he even goes as far to say that he prefers them over index funds, which might surprise some people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might seem a little counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
his reasoning is really fascinating. He's all about those mutual funds with a long, proven track record. Think decades, not just a few years.
So he's looking for the steady performers, not the flashy quick buck investments. It's kind of like choosing a well-established neighborhood with mature trees and solid infrastructure, rather than the newest, flashiest development. That might not stand the test of time.
That's a great analogy. And there's a good reason why he puts so much emphasis on track records. It's not just about seeing a fund that's done well recently. It's about understanding its history, its resilience during different market cycles, and how it's navigated economic ups and downs. That's what gives him confidence in a fund's long-term potential.
So it's about looking beyond the surface and really digging into a fund's history. Kind of like checking references for a potential babysitter. You want someone with experience and a proven track record.
Exactly. And Ramsey actually recommends diversifying across 4 specific types of mutual funds.
Okay, let's break those down. What's the first one?
First up are growth and income funds, sometimes called large cap or blue chip funds. Think of these as the stalwarts of the investing world. They invest in large, well-established companies that have a history of steady growth and paying dividends. They tend to be less volatile, offering a smoother ride for those who prioritize stability.
So it's not about getting rich quickly. It's about steady, reliable growth over time.
Exactly. Next, we have growth funds, also known as mid-cap funds. These focus on medium-sized companies that are still growing and expanding. They offer more growth potential than the large-cap funds, but also come with a bit more risk.
Got it. So a step up in terms of both potential rewards and risks. What about those who are a bit more adventurous with their investments?
Well, for those with a higher risk tolerance, there are aggressive growth funds or small-cap funds. These invest in smaller emerging companies that have the potential for explosive growth, but also carry a higher risk of failing.
So it's like investing in a promising new band. They could become the next Beatles or fade into obscurity.
Oh, exactly. And finally, we have international funds, which is a great way to diversify your portfolio beyond the U.S. market. They invest in companies all over the world, spreading your risk and potentially tapping into growth opportunities in different regions.
That makes sense. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. So these 4 types of funds form the core of Ramsey's investment strategy.
Yes, they represent a well-rounded approach, covering different levels of risk and potential return.
Now, I'm sure some people are thinking, okay, that's great. But how do I actually choose the right funds within those categories?
Well, as we already touched on, Ramsey is all about the track record. He says a fund's past performance is the most important factor to consider, representing about 85% of his decision-making process.
He has a point. You wouldn't trust someone to watch your kids without checking their references first, right? You want to see that they've got a solid track record of responsibility and experience.
Exactly. Ramsey actually has a great quote about this. He says, "Don't invest in things you don't understand." It's like trusting someone blindly with your kids.
That's a powerful way to put it. It really underscores the importance of doing your homework and understanding where your money is going.
It's about taking ownership of your financial decisions and not just blindly following someone else's advice.
So true. Now, we've talked about getting out of debt, and building a diversified portfolio with those solid track record funds. But I think there's another piece of the puzzle here that we haven't really touched on yet. Risk tolerance.
Ah, yes. Risk tolerance. It's often overlooked, but yeah, it's crucial for making investment decisions that align with your personality and your financial goals.
Right. Because not everyone is comfortable with the same level of risk. Some people are perfectly fine riding the waves of the market, while others get queasy at thought of any fluctuation.
Exactly. Risk tolerance is essentially a measure of how comfortable you are with the possibility of losing money in your investments. It's about understanding how much volatility you can stomach without losing sleep at night.
So if I'm the type who obsessively checks my investment portfolio every day and panics at the slightest dip, maybe those aggressive growth funds aren't the best fit for me.
Probably not. You might be better suited to growth and income funds, which offer a smoother ride. They still have the potential for growth, but it tends to be less dramatic.
It's like choosing a vacation destination. Some people crave adventure and are willing to rough it a bit, while others prefer a more relaxed, predictable experience.
I love that analogy. And the beauty is there's no right or wrong answer. It's all about figuring out what aligns with your personal preferences and financial goals.
So how do you actually determine your risk tolerance? Is there a test you can take or something?
There are actually questionnaires and tools available online that can help you assess your risk tolerance. They typically ask questions about your investment goals, your time horizon, and how you'd react to various market scenarios.
That sounds helpful. It's probably a good idea to check those out before making any major investment decisions.
Absolutely. And speaking of timelines, that's another key factor to consider when it comes to risk.
Right, because if I'm investing for retirement, which is decades away, I have more time to recover from potential losses.
Exactly. A longer time horizon allows you to ride out market fluctuations and benefit from the power of compounding, which we'll get to in a moment.
But if I'm saving for a down payment on a house in a few years, I might want to play it a bit safer.
Exactly. In that case, you'd want to choose investments that are less likely to experience significant dips in value in the short term.
It's all about matching your investment strategy to your specific goals and timeline.
Precisely. Now, while we're on the topic of timelines, let's dive into one of Ramsey's favorite concepts, the power of compound growth.
Okay, I've heard him talk about this, and it's one of those things that sounds amazing in theory, but can be hard to wrap your head around in practice.
Like a snowball rolling downhill, gathering more and more snow as it goes. Essentially, compound growth is the idea that your investment earnings start generating their own earnings over time, leading to exponential growth.
So it's not just about the initial amount you invest, but also about the snowball effect of those earnings compounding over time.
Exactly. And the earlier you start investing, the more time that snowball has to grow. Even small, consistent contributions can add up to significant wealth over the long term.
This is where that whole idea of turning a car payment into millions really starts to make sense.
It does. It's not about finding some magic investment that will make you rich overnight. It's about the discipline of saving and investing regularly, letting time and compound growth do their work.
So it's more like a marathon than a sprint.
Exactly. And speaking of guidance, Ramsey has some strong opinions about finding the right help when it comes to investing.
Right. He's not a fan of those financial advisors who are more interested in selling products than educating their clients.
He's very vocal about that.
Yeah.
He believes you need an advisor who prioritizes teaching over selling, someone who empowers you to understand the why behind the what.
Someone who acts more like a teacher or a coach than a salesperson.
Precisely. Someone who helps you develop a long-term plan, explains the risks and rewards of different investments, and answers your questions in a way that you can understand.
Because ultimately, it's your money and your future. You need to be comfortable with the decisions you're making.
Absolutely. And that comes from being informed and having a trusted advisor who can guide you through the process.
Yeah, it sounds like finding the right advisor can make all the difference. Someone who speaks your language and truly understands your goals.
Absolutely. It's a partnership.
Yeah.
And you need to feel confident that your advisor is in your corner,
Yeah.
helping you navigate the complexities of the financial world.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Dave Ramsey's investing wisdom, let's recap what we've learned.
Okay.
It all starts with a solid foundation. Get rid of that debt. Ramsey sees it as a roadblock to building real wealth. And once you're free from that burden, you can truly start to make progress.
Right. Then it's about building that diversified portfolio with those rock-solid mutual funds. that
Yep.
have stood the test of time. Remember those big oak trees? A sign of stability and longevity in the investing world.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the power of consistent action. Investing isn't about getting rich quick, it's a long game. Small, regular contributions can grow into something substantial thanks to the magic of compounding.
Absolutely. And finally, find yourself a trusted advisor, someone who's more of a teacher than a salesperson, guiding you along the way and empowering you to make informed decisions.
So, as you embark on your investing journey, here's a question to consider. Which type of mutual fund resonates with you the most?
Ah, are you drawn to the stability of those blue chip giants? Or are you feeling a bit more adventurous, ready to explore the world of small cap companies with their high growth potential?
Take some time to really think about your risk tolerance, your goals, and what kind of investor you want to be. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
And remember, the most important step is taking that first one. Start investing today, even if it's a small amount. The power of compounding will reward you down the line.
Happy investing. And keep learning.
Until next time, dive deep and keep exploring in old